This is from the second part of Tales of Clark Seville when he was a bear. This is called Folly's Register Rough Bowling Arrow. It was either on that very evening, or on the very next one, or on one of the very many every evenings that vary every once in a very little time that Clarksville awoke in the middle of the night and found himself wondering just for a moment exactly where he was. Of course, he quickly remembered, oh, that's right, I'm in a rented room in a lady's house, but just for a moment he was lost in a strange room with little boy wallpaper and his feet hanging off the end of the bed and odd reminders of a life he had never known and never would know. Seville snorted with a half smile as he rolled over and opened one eye. Bowling. He was looking at a vintage Brunswick pin against the wall somewhere down there past his feet that he was now drawing back up under the covers. He had to sleep in a tight fetal position to obtain anything like full coverage of the mattress and the bedspread. The room was tiny. It had been Mrs. Annie's son Roger's. Now Roger was a grown man living in some strange little town on earth, and Seville occupied the bed that he had wet God knows how many times during his childhood. Seville moved his head slightly to take in more of Roger's life before sleep took him once again. What was that? An archery set? An old-fashioned laminate bow hung by its makeshift string over a framed picture of Paul Bunyan, the stylized blue ox beside him. That's what I need, Seville thought as he closed his eyes again. Not a doll, but an animal companion. What about a fox? Someone in a cartoon dream asked him. Jeff is a fox, Seville insisted. A fox-like creature, someone like Jeff corrected him. Should I keep going? I'll tell you what, hold on. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to read one selection from each of the other parts of the book that I have written so far. I'm working on the fourth and final notebook of this novel. So I think this is the volume 1. Let's check it out. Yeah, okay, now I'll find something in here to read. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, this is called Hot Disability Cockerel. One day in early summer, Clark Seville was sent on his first overnight assignment. He was paired with another agent, Henry Bustle. Henry's already started his modification, Sven Symptom told Seville. He was born a bird. Seville turned slowly, almost hesitantly, towards the figure seated to his left. Henry Bustle was mostly human-looking, except for the 5 o'clock shadow that covered most of his exposed skin, the result of his keeping his feathers diligently shaved down. Also, he had a ring of scar tissue around his nose and mouth. This was where his beak had presumably been. The two agents' eyes met. Seville nodded. Good to be working with you, Henry told Seville with as little use of his lips as possible. He simply opened his mouth and emitted the words. Hold on. Seville nodded again. Now, Symptom drew their attention back to himself. You're going to be trailing and observing this man. He withdrew a black and white photograph the size of a large cereal box from a case on his desk and passed it across. Seville moved closer to Henry. He could smell the latter's bodily aroma and the toiletry used to blunt its puissance. He smelled like an old wooden barrel with dusty traces of grain at the bottom. Who is he? Bustle asked. Seville noted the way his tongue bobbed up into view like a very short man at the wheel of a dump truck. His name is Odom Sauna. Here's the details of his current whereabouts. Symptom passed them the rest of the folder's contents. Follow him, observe his daily habits, make note of his social contacts, report by phone to this office every day until you receive further instructions. An easy job, Symptom ended with a smile. Out in the hall, Bustle looked Seville up and down. We've got to get you a better tailor, he almost quacked. I don't know if I should keep going. No, let's stick with the program. Let me find something else. Okay, this next one is Notebook 3. I gotta find something. Alright, this is the one I finished a couple months ago. Hold on. Oh God, this is a good one. Alright. This is from part 3 of Tales of Clark Seville when he was a bear. I've been working on this book for over a year. Alright, this is called Her Slender Frame Laboring Under the Weight of Her Giant Bosom. When Agent Seville arrives, I think it will be but a moment's work for Belinda to distract him sufficiently for us to relieve him of the secret plans. Ha 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 ha! Stefan Proviso laughed wickedly in conclusion, rubbing his hands together in an emotive pantomime of applying lotion to them. I think you will discover that Clark Seville isn't quite so easily distracted from his appointed tasks, retorted Bertrand Quinn, the man in the bin. Stefan Proviso turned with a sneer towards Quinn. Nonsense, he snorted. Why, even I, with my academy-trained mind, here he looked at Belinda, can barely keep my eyes from this young woman's pulchritudinous assets. Belinda leaned against the old-fashioned television set and thumbed through an ancient issue of TV Guide as she tried to decide if her bubblegum was ready to be spat out. A floorboard in the next room warned them with its telltale squeak that the bear had arrived. "We've been waiting for you, Seville," Proviso called delightedly. The door to the inner room was flung open, but the first thing through it was not Agent Seville, but an electric lamp torn from its wall socket. Belinda jumped back in surprise, her treacherous rack bouncing provocatively beneath a T-shirt that served only to augment its contents, volume, and heft. The lamp smashed into pieces against the far wall, was followed hard on by Clark Seville, stalking like an upright bus into the room. He gripped a fat briefcase containing the secret plans in his left hand. "Proviso," he growled. Noting the diminutive man in the wastebasket, he added, "Quinn," contemptuously. "Where is my lunch?" "Girl!" Proviso hissed, glancing at Belinda. He shook his shoulders in indication of her job, but even had the young woman wits enough to shake her stuff in the face of this monstrous intrusion, such action would have meant nothing to Clark Seville, now hell-bent on tearing the room apart. Alright, that is, you know what? Since it's a work in progress, we can go ahead and do, something from the new novel, which I just started, by the way. So let's see what we got here. Okay, this is from the fourth and final part of Tales of Clark Seville when he was a bear. Scamper to the scent of loam. "How come all of our research is on Clark Seville's early career?" Jack asked Solomon. "When he was a bear?" Solomon smiled. "Yeah." Solomon pointed once again at the diagram. It was a hierarchy of command over all the various departments of the suggestible trapezoid. Some focus on Seville's early career. Some focus on his latter days. Some, a few, even devote their time to understanding his few months as a woman. He made a strange motion with his right hand. Was Jack supposed to understand this? So our department's main task is overseeing the documenting and dissemination of the correct interpretation of Clark Seville's days as a bear, Solomon explained. Jack took this information to a strange part of his brain. He was only now beginning to understand the analogous size of the mnemonic dimensions of the inside of his head. Although it could conceptually be approximately infinite, it all boiled down to about the size of his old elementary school building and what passed for a supermarket back at the time. His own robotic nature, analogously to be sure, he had accepted with remarkable grace given his age. Of course, the same could be said for someone discovering that sad fact late in life, Solomon joked with his fellow instructors at the side of the room. How is Jack? Came a voice from the silhouetted entryway. Terminal, Solomon responded without hesitation, without turning towards that voice. Alright, I think that's enough. See ya later.